The Drum Candy Podcast is brought to you by Drum Factory Direct.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into episode 16 of season 2 of the Drum Candy Podcast. This is your host, Mike Dawson, coming to you from Drum Factory Direct in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's good to be back with you. Hope you've all had a good couple of weeks. We are going to be sticking with this every other week schedule for a little bit till I get caught up on some other projects. You can always go back and listen to past episodes. I'm actually transcribing a lot of season 1 now. We're going to be turning all those into web features for the new Drum Factory Direct website, which more info on that here. And in a couple of months, we should be ready to launch that. Let's talk about our intro beat. So that was supplied by Dr. Stuart Anderson. Stuart says this is an isolated drum track from a track called Oh Mercy by my band Paul Buchanan's Voodoo Preachers, off their soon-to-be completed album Down Sellers Lane. The gear is a 12x24 Keller vintage mahogany kick, an 8x12, 14x14, and 16x16 stave toms made out of walnut, purple heart, and zebra wood. The main snare is a 7x13 Jara stave. Cymbals: Dream 14-inch Bliss, Meinl 18-inch Byzance Extra Dry China. That's an 18-inch Byzance Extra Dry China. Paiste 22-inch Masters Swish, and a Paiste 20-inch 20 Masters Dark Ride with 3 rivets. Thanks for that beat, Stu. If you want to get your beat featured in the show, please send it over to drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. I believe I only have a couple more that have already been submitted, so get yours in, and we'll feature you on the show. I just have a few things news related this week. Again, stickshed.com. We do have gift packs available, so if you haven't checked those out, go over to stickshed.com. We have a Vic Firth pack. You get a stick bag, 3 pairs of Vic Firth 5As. There's like wood tips, there's nylon tip, and then some other version of a 5A that they offer. And we're also throwing in a pair of our house brand 5A sticks. Then you get some other stuff, moon gels, a drum key, and all that sort of stuff. And you got one from Vic. We've got one for ProMark. We've got one from Zildjian, and we also have a Vic Firth marching gift pack, which has Ralph Hardiman indoor sticks and outdoor sticks, and the practice tips, and the drum key, and it comes in one of those two pair stick quiver things that Vic Firth offers. So again, go over to stickshed.com, check those out. They're not, we're getting down to the wire for the holiday season, but they're good gift packs. We got birthdays coming up, graduations, all that kind of stuff. Go check them out, stickshed.com. Second little bit of news here. We are going to be shutting down the warehouse at Drum Factory Direct from December 23rd through January 3rd so we can do some inventory. So if you have any orders to make sure you get them in before 11 a.m. on December 23rd, or else they won't begin to be shipped out until January 3rd. So we have to go through and count literally every piece of inventory before the end of the year. That's every screw, every tension rod, every hoop, every drum head, every shell. So it's going to take us some time. We will have customer service available. It'll be on a limited schedule, but you can always email any questions about that. But you get your orders in before 11 a.m. on December 23rd if you want it to ship prior to the new year. All right, for our main topic this week, I want to compare the depth of a snare drum and see what you can hear if I tune the drums exactly the same, and if I have exactly the same type of drum, just different depth. So what we have is a 4x14 Canopus birch, and then a 5.5x14 Bucks County Prime Series birch. So the shells, they're plywood shells, they're made of birch, as close as I can get to identical. They both have triple flange hoops. I tuned them identically and then played exactly the same stuff on each drum. So I start with the fundamental, so the bottom heads on both drums were tuned to F sharp, the 4th octave, which is where I put every snare drum to start. And then I got the fundamental note of the drum itself. I think I started at G sharp and then went down a half step for each time I retuned it. So in the demo here, I will play quarter notes on the piccolo and then quarter notes on the 5.5x14, and then 8th notes, triplets, 16th notes. And then when I play a beat, you'll hear 2 bars on the piccolo first, and then 2 bars on the 5.5x14. And then I do the same thing through all the tunings. And microphone-wise, I have a Mojave FET 47 over top of the kit as an overhead, a mono. I have an SE V7X dynamic on top of the snare. And then on the side, I have an Austrian Audio OD5. And then I have a B52A Shure bass drum mic. That's it. Minimal mixing, just enough to kind of clean it up, but not really transform the sound of the drum much. So what are we going to listen for? We should probably just check it out first and then talk about it. Well, before we jump into the demos, the last segment of this demo is the super low, dry sample type sound. So that's a little bit different. When I go from high to medium low, the snare wires are tightened just below the point where they start to choke, and then no dampening, wide open. For the last little bit, I threw a dampening ring on, a 1-inch ring, and also 2 gels, and I tightened the wires a good bit to get that compressed kind of response. So you're going to hear that on the piccolo and then on the 5.5x14 to compare. So let's check it out. Here we go. hopefully you can hear the differences there. I originally was going to also throw in a third drum, a 6 snap by 14. I have this Tamba Superstar here. But I found that the difference between the 5.5 and the 6.5 wasn't really as significant as the difference between the 4 and the 5.5. So at least what was captured, the feeling of the drum was a little bit different. But I didn't feel there was a need to throw the deeper drum into this because the point was made, I think, going by the shallow piccolo to the 5.5 by 14. I could certainly feel a major difference in the room, and there's an anomaly I'll talk about as well. But the biggest thing was the piccolo it was very snary, no matter what. A lot of response. It wasn't necessarily faster response or more sensitive. It was just, I heard the snares a lot more. And then listening back to the recording, I noticed that there's just less sound with the piccolo. There's less drum, there's less sound. You're not getting as much of the low end. You're not getting as much fatness. The sustain was still decent. The head still ring out and sing. But that's what I noticed immediately it was like there was less sound. It was kind of focused in the higher register, where the Bucks County 5.5 just felt beefier and fatter and thicker in the room. Now, interestingly, I tuned these drums exactly the same. The fundamental note at the start was G sharp, but the 5.5 by 14 actually had a perceived pitch to be a half step higher. Don't know why or how. So in those demos, I actually had to cut out the first of the 5.5 by 14 because it was a half step higher than the piccolo starting point. It probably has something to do with the bottom head maybe playing a little bit more of a role in the perceived pitch. I don't know, but it was pretty weird. And then, as you heard, the lower we got, the more they kind of spread apart. But it was really interesting. Like the 5.5 by 14 gave me a higher note, perceived note, than the piccolo did, even though they were tuned exactly to the same frequency. Just an interesting food for thought. I enjoyed playing the 5.5 by 14 much more. But the piccolo does something, it's great for recording, and the low sound is fantastic. There's none of that muddy stuff that you would have to EQ out. So it's all stuff to consider. Hopefully just give you some idea of what depth of a snare drum with a birch wood shell. It'd probably be different with some other species, but next week I'm going to do deeper depth. I'm going to do maple shells, 6 by 14 and an 8 by 14. And we'll see if there's a difference there. And then maybe we'll go into metal shells. But that's it for now. Let's head over to our main featured artist. This week, I'm interviewing the great rock drummer Tucker Rule. Tucker was a founding member of the legendary post-hardcore band Thursday, which was formed back in 1997. And they are just finishing up a tour, the 21st anniversary tour for their classic record, Full Collapse. And he just put out a new record with his new band, LS Dunes. So we talk a bit about that. We talk about the gear he's using for touring. We dig into it all. So let's get to it with Tucker Rule. Is this the last week of the tour with Thursday?
Yes, we end on the 17th. So I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, how's it been?
It's been great, man. It's been a lot of fun. The shows have been awesome. Turnouts have been cool. So yeah, and I get to watch Cursive every night, so that's a plus.
Right. So this is, you guys are celebrating the 21st year of
yes.
Which record is it?
Full Collapse.
All right, Full Collapse. So how are these songs feeling 21 years on?
They're just as fun as I remember them, man. And it's awesome to remember. I remember exactly where I was when I wrote all these songs, when I recorded them. You know what I mean? So it's just fun to get a little flashback every night, of where I was at the time, and then being like, holy shit, I'm here right now. This is crazy. You know what I mean? And the songs are still as fun to play as they ever were. And, there's not a whole lot of, there's not a lot I would have changed about them. You know what I mean? I do some fills different every night, but not really, you know what I mean? I try to keep true to the record, and, it's still, I feel like, yeah, I just feel grateful to be able to still do it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people still want to hear these songs. So
Did you have to kind of refresh yourself, or are they all just permanent memory?
I think they're mostly permanent memory. You know what I mean? Of course, like it takes a pass through each of the songs just to remember the muscle memory. You know what I mean? Because for me, once I do it once, I'm like, okay, I remember how this feels. You know what I mean? It's not about
Mm.
like I always say this: that when you're on tour and you're playing your songs, you get really good at your songs, but you get really bad at playing drums.
I've heard
You
that.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I enjoy my time at home practicing, you know what I mean? And then that's what gets me to go over the song once and it's like, okay, I got it. But then it's when I'm away on tour and I'm playing these songs that I come home and I'm like, man, can't do anything.
Now, what is there anything that you feel builds while being on the tour that is long standing? Like for me, I felt just that intensity kind of helped make everything else a little bit more sharp when I got back home. Is there anything about touring for you that improves when you get back home doing studio work or whatever it is that you're doing?
Oh, definitely, man. Like I'll video myself every night, or whenever I can, and I'll watch the videos back at night before I go to bed, and I'll kind of like critique myself and be like, all right, well, you're rushing this. Like, remember when you're at home, like don't rush this stuff or whatever. Because a lot of the Thursday stuff, especially Full Collapse, is free time live. Because the songs were written and designed to not have like, there's a lot of time signature changes, for example, or just field changes within the song. So, having a tempo map just wasn't an option back then. It was, we just didn't want to go there. You know what I mean? So, it's fun to like when I'm at home, I try to do everything to the metronome. You know what I mean? If I'm like doing remote recording for someone or whatever, even for my new band LS Dunes, we we're sending files back and forth, and they have to be to a metronome. So it's fun to do this completely free time. So I do get to scratch that itch of feel. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Do you start the songs with like a metronome reference, or how do you get the tempos?
No, I just kind of go in, just kind of wherever wherever the four on the 4 count lands is where the song is. You know what I mean?
Do
Which
you
is
guys
it's stressful.
does it fluctuate after the gig? You're like, wow, that was really fast, or that felt slow. Does that ever come up?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not so much lately, but in the past, it's definitely like, when you get somebody playing guitar, turning around and looking at you, it's like, oh shit, I must have started this one real fast. So I try to take a deep breath before each song and just remember like, okay, wherever you think it is, cut that by probably like 10 BPM.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because it's crazy what nerves do, and it's crazy how like you can hear a song on the radio and then 5 minutes later you could start humming that song and you could check you think you're humming it at that tempo. You know what I mean? You think you're like, oh, I just heard the song, this is the tempo, and you're like literally 10 BPM faster.
Yeah, okay. So that's your tendency. Mine is always to start too slow. I don't know why. Maybe to overcompensate. I don't know.
See, I
Sure.
love that. Like I'll watch a band like Deftones, I'll watch Abe play, and like that's a dude that like, man, their songs just work better slower. It's just
Hmm.
so great hearing that band relaxed and with so much feel. I feel like for a band like Thursday, we thrive on the faster, the energy. You know what I mean? So it's I try to have both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys get together to rehearse before tour, or is at this point show up and play?
It's pretty much show up and play. We if we have like a year off or something, we'll get together for like 3 or 4 days, or as much as we can. Maybe it's usually been about 2 days. We'll run the set a few times and just dust the cobwebs off and kind of use sound checks for the first couple shows to work on any trouble spots. But for the most part, it's like everybody knows to show up with their best foot forward, and I mean, when I'm at home, I'm playing all the time. You know what I mean? And I almost expect my band members to do the same. Not necessarily Thursday songs, but if you play an instrument, you should be at home practicing.
Hmm.
I just think that that's healthy.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a space in your house, or do you have a rental space somewhere else?
I do. I'm lucky. I moved into my house in 2020, and I moved out of New York City. And one of my stipulations to my wife was, if you're going to move me out of the city, we need to find a house with a detached garage to where I can build a studio in it. And that's what we did. And my garage is like probably 20 yards from my house. And I built a room within a room in one of the bays. I have a 2-bay garage. So one of the bays is the rip room, and it's a room within a room, and it's soundproofed. And, I can pretty much play in there whenever I want. I do have neighbors, so I try to keep it like after 9 a.m. and shut it down at like 10:30. I try to.
That's still pretty good.
those are my hours. I don't want to ruin a good thing. You know what I mean? So I try to keep it business hours, if you will.
So what's a typical day for you on the road? You guys don't have many off days on this run.
Typical day is I'm up early because I have a toddler, so I generally am used to being up at 7 a.m. So I try to sleep in till about 8, and then I shuffle about the front lounge until the bus is either stopped or we're parked up somewhere where we can go get coffee. Do coffee and hang out. Basically, wait to sound check. I usually go to the gym and work out. Like I'm a member of Planet Fitness, and you can go to any single one across the country if you have a membership. But on this tour, winter, I've just been a hermit, not really leaving the bus. So I'll just wait for sound check and do that whole thing, and then pretty much hurry up and wait for the gig.
Right, a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
What do you do with the downtime?
Oh man, I'm either walking around or again trying to figure out how to work out, or I don't know, just hanging with my peoples. I really don't. I'm not in a rhythm on this tour because we did a Thursday tour, then I did a Dunes tour, and then I went straight into a Thursday tour. So I'm all like I feel like there's new people everywhere, so I'm very stimulated. You know what I mean, with my band. So yeah, I've been kind of slacking on healthy stuff.
Do you have a regular pre-show routine to get you in the mode?
Yeah, I usually, shut down all human contact about an hour before the show, where I just kind of get dressed into my battle uniform, and I, grab a pair of sticks and I hit on anything that is, not bouncy. And, I kind of just get in the zone a little bit. I try to watch Cursive a little bit too, so I can get a feel for the room. And I also I like to be inspired by music. You know what I mean? I love that band, and they're playing Domestica from front to back. So it's kind of awesome. It's one of my favorite records. So I get to watch that. Just get, like I said, get inspired, and then, not pull any muscles when I get up there.
Right. Do you have to check yourself the first couple songs to keep the adrenaline in control?
I used to, but now that I'm a little bit older, I kind of have a grip on remembering that you don't want to blow yourself out. You know what I mean? And you want to. I like to start the set and finish the set with the same energy, with the same intensity. So, I definitely, in my younger years would go so hard in the first 3 songs and then be pretty spent by mid set. But now I find it's you play better when you keep a little bit back, just a little bit. You're still going 110%, but remember technique and form, and try to hit the center of the drum. All those little things kind of help me stay focused on stamina. And actually tried to play well.
What about after the show? Do you have a cool down?
No, after the show, I immediately take my show clothes off and put my normal clothes on, and I hang the show clothes up and bring them out to the bus and stick them in the bus shower where they can dry. And then I'm in chill mode. I'm usually eating peanut butter pretzels by, about 15 minutes post set.
Rock star life.
Yeah.
What is your kit on this run?
So I have a mahogany Q Drumco kit with a orange sparkle wrap, and I've had this kit for probably about 10 years now, and it was my kit that I used. So back in 2012, 2013, I played in a boy band called The Wanted, and I had this kit made for that band, and it was sent to the UK, and we used it for a couple years, and then they broke up, and then the kit lived in the UK for a few years, and I never used it until one day. The production manager that was on that, it was on Shawn Mendes now, and he was like, "Yo, we're shipping stuff to New Jersey. Do you want that kit?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." So I like drove and picked up the kit, and now it's my main touring kit. Like, I just love the idea of like a Charlie Watts using the same kit for his entire career. Mm-hmm. And like, that's how I feel about this orange sparkle kit. Like, I want to use it forever. Like, it's my road kit, and I love it. You know, it's always sounds great. It's durable. You know, because I have a Q Drum Co. copper kit, and that's my studio recording kit. It's on every record I've done in the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, 8 years. And but it's brittle. You know what I mean? If it's not in the proper cases in the trailer, it could get dented, and it has gotten dented. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I want my Road Warrior kit, which is this orange sparkle mahogany kit, because it's a wrap. So when it gets dinged, you can't really tell. It looks good, sounds good, and it feels good. So, and it's like, it's home.
Is that center hole in your bass drum also a Charlie Watts homage?
No, that's a Q Drum Co. Thing that's how they do their kick drum heads. You know, that's how they send them on the new kits. And I just got used to that being where it go. You know, where it is when I have the hole down in the bottom. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I don't know if it's mental or whatever, but it feels different. You know, I feel like kicking it and the air going straight out the hole is much better than it, you know, kind of going like that.
How do you tune it?
I'm insane. It's total mental thing. I know
it might not be. I mean, I'll probably challenge you on the nerdy, insane. How do you tune it? Is it basically as low as it can go?
Yes, yeah, because I do use a 14 by 26 kick. So it's shallow. So I do try to take the batter head down a bunch, and I use a Power Stroke 3 black dot with the Falam Slam pad on it. And I use a low boy beater, wood beater. So it's I get a lot of that click, but it also with it low, I feel like I get a lot of the, you know, soggy low end, if you will. And I finger tighten the front head.
Okay. What about dampening?
No, I use a blanket on the inside that is butted up against the batter side and barely touching the front side.
Okay. Is that consistent with the recording kit too?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, what about toms?
For the toms, I'm using Control Sound Black Dots Remo, and I put no dampening on them. If I can get away with no dampening, I prefer no dampening on all the drums.
Okay. What is your snare of choice?
Snare of choice right now. Right now I have a Control Sound X, Remo Control Sound X, and I love it. It's super durable, and I can go like multiple shows with it. But I feel like with snares, in a pinch, I'm always putting some kind of stuff on it, like whether it's gaff tape or you know, a moon gel. Our front of house guy Mark is an absolute wizard, and he likes the snare tuned low, like super low. So I feel to get a lot of sensitivity, I like to dampen it a bunch to get it to sound like not honky at that low tuning. You know, when you can get that, I don't like that.
What is the drum?
Right now for the touring drum is 7x14 aluminum cast Q drum snare.
That's beefy.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome drum, and it's a workhorse. You know what I mean? It always sounds good. It like I said, the front of house person loves this tuning, low tuning, and it works great for that. Mm-hmm. So, and my backup is a gentleman brass, but that's more of a studio snare for me.
Okay. Well, run down your cymbal setup while we're in the kit world.
So for Thursday, I have 15-inch Avidus Zildjian hats. I have a 22 Avidus ride with rivets as my left crash, 24 K light ride, and then a 22 K light ride. I love big cymbals. Yeah.
Nice. Is that same for the studio?
For the studio, I try to mix and match, but I use a lot of Constantinobles in the studio, and I like super thin cymbals in the studio because I like them to be quick. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to overpower the mix with that all that high end
Sweet. What's in store for Thursday in 2023?
So right now, not a whole lot. I mean, we have a few things we're doing. We got a few festival offers and such. We're really just having fun playing right now. So there's no real plans on recording or anything like that. We're just kind of enjoying, people wanting to still see the band. So and all of us have like multiple projects too. So we have this collective, where we're all kind of like working together on a bunch of different things.
So do you see it just continuing in perpetuity for you guys? Whenever you feel like playing, just get together and do it?
Yeah, I think so. And we like to, if we get an offer, we'll build something around it. You know what I mean? If we get like a cool festival, we'll do like 2 weeks around that. It'll be a good little run or something like that. So we, like I said, we just really love playing live. The reason why we started this band was to play in our singer's basement back in the 90s. So we just really love playing live, and we really think that like a record is a flyer for a show in a way.
Mm-hmm. Let's shift into the new project, LS Dunes. First of all, what does the name mean?
It doesn't have really any meaning at all. We just kind of like the when you're starting a band and all of the really great names are taken. It's not like we can name our band Metallica, you know what I mean, or fucking Iron Maiden. That's taken. So
you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, you got all those, but you're like flipping through the dictionary or whatever, and it's like, but we came up with Dunes as like, okay, this has a cool visual, a cool image. It's like, I feel like this record's very desert inspired. It makes me think of the desert when I listen to it and when I play the song. So Dunes was like a good name, and then Anthony, our singer, was like, well, what if we did something where it was like LSD, like LS Dunes, and then we kind of stuck with like, oh yeah, LS Dunes, that's cool. It kind of sounds like an author, like T.S. Eliot, or So we were into it just being like, oh, this is like a book, like a novel, like an author, and so LS Dunes was stuck.
How did it come about? The way Apple Music presents it, it's as if you were the kind of the ringleader of the project.
I suppose I was. Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I bought my house in 2020, and when I realized that the pandemic was going to go on longer than we thought, I was like, man, I got to get on this. I need to buy some recording equipment. I need to learn how to record, because if I'm going to be, I had an infant at the time, so I couldn't really go anywhere anyway. But I was like, I need to make money. So maybe if I learn how to record, if I watch enough YouTube videos, buy enough gear, I can do remote recording, and that's what I did. And I taught myself how to record drums, and and then I got a few offers to do records. I did like the Sparta record. I did a Jim Ward solo record, and I was hungry to write, and I wanted to write with other people. And my friend Frank, I did Frank Iero and the Future Violence with him, so I knew that we spoke the same musical language, and I knew that we could write some songs together, whether that we play them out or we just have them as a an exercise, a brain exercise. And and then I always wanted to play with Travis from Coheed. He's a good friend of mine. We took Coheed out on their first tour back in whatever fucking decade it was. And and then Tim, the bass player of Thursday, he's like literally one of the best musicians I've ever played with, and makes my job as a drummer super easy, because he can hide all my flaws with his superior bass lines and bass skills. He's like truly phenomenal. So we just kind of started writing songs and writing things and sending things back and forth, and we had the idea of asking Anthony to be in our band, who's the singer, Anthony Green. And so we sent him a couple of songs, and I told him that these are just friends of mine. I was like, hey, a couple of buds and I wrote some songs. Would you want to just try to sing over them? And he was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And he sent back the first song that was written, just instruments. That's the song he chose to sing over. We sent him like 5 songs. He chose the first one that we ever wrote to sing over. So it was like kind of like kismet in a way. And I was like, well, this is awesome. I was like, would you like to do this? Because I think we have a band here. And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, and I was like, well, you know all the people in the band. And So he's like, oh my God, he's like, I'm so psyched. This is amazing. You know, so I think we were all going through a rough time. I think everybody in the world is going through a rough time.
Right.
And this was truly one of the things that I think saved us all, you know, all in this band at least, was having this project and being able to, you know, kind of span this awful time with a truly creative, collaborative experience.
Did you have any intention of making it a physical band where you'd go on the road?
I don't think so. I don't think so at first, because this was at a time where our industry was, people were telling us it was dead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not coming back. You know, you should probably get a job at Amazon or something like that. You know, start a new career, because it's just that easy. You know what I mean? When you're been a musician pretty much your whole adult life, oh, just switch gears.
Yeah,
You've given up everything for music. So just, you know, go get another job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But so we just kind of started it to write some songs, you know what I mean? To like literally scratch the itch of like trying to play music with other people, even if it wasn't in the same room. So we had no intention on making a record even, you know, just thought maybe we'd write a batch of songs, or, you know, just have fun doing it. And it literally became sort of an addiction. And then as Anthony would sing over more things, it became apparent that we had something special, you know. And I know everybody says that about their projects and their bands, and they all are special and unique, but this one I felt truly 100% connected to myself and to my bandmates, and music.
So who decided, let's go play a show? Was it a booking agent? Was it a manager? Was it one of you?
I think it you know, as things started to open back up and things started getting announced, and the fact that, you know, MCR was doing these shows, and, you know, all of us were kind of off. Like Anthony and I were going to be in Chicago doing Riot Fest anyway, you know, because Thursday had an after show, and Anthony had a solo show, and Anthony was literally riding on the bus with Thursday, and Frank was already going to be out there headlining Riot Fest, and Tim and Travis were off. So we were just like, all right, let's just do that as a first show. It's close enough to the record. We can kind of announce the band and who's in the band. And we put a song out prior to that show called Permanent Rebellion, and people liked it. So, you know, it was kind of like, all right, this is a rollout for the record. This is part of the rollout.
So what's in store for this project? More touring?
More touring. We have a tour at the end of January into February. We're doing UK and Europe. We're writing a bunch. You know, our strong point is not being in a room together, because we're all pretty busy. But our strong point is writing songs and writing music and being productive, without having to be together. So we're currently writing. I mean, there was stuff passed around yesterday. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's going to be new music. There's going to be some touring. You know, this is a full-time gig for all of us.
Mm-hmm. What is your songwriting process and part writing? I guess songwriting and part writing, two questions in one.
So it's weird. A lot of these songs started bass line first. Tim would send a bass line out, and I would put drums over it, and then, you know, guitars would kind of go on top of it. Some of the songs came guitar first, and I would put drums over that, you know. But there were a few that I would write a beat, you know, because like I said, I play every day when I'm at home, and I try to come up with stuff. So I'll put a beat to a tempo, something that I've been working on. And if it inspires somebody to write something over it, cool. So some of the songs started that way. But the unique thing about writing remotely like this and is trying to keep the rest of the band members engaged. I feel each of us trying to keep ourselves engaged in the writing process. So if I would get a guitar part, I would, as fast as I possibly could, come up with the most intelligent drum part I could. Simple, intelligent, intuitive, you know, easy to write over, and send it to the next person. So the speed at which we had to work to stay engaged, I think, captured that like youthful energy that we got back in the day when we were writing our first records, you know, like Full Collapse or Waiting, or, you know, whatever, you know, the first Coheed record, first Circa record, like all of that energy that you had. I think we captured that in this writing process, as far as like trying to just keep the ball rolling, because we could not physically be in the same room together.
Now, do you commit to your parts in that early go round, or does it go through like a revision process before you finish it up?
I mean, I, I commit to like the theme. I've always, since I started playing drums, I found that there's a theme in the drums, and the theme is usually built around some sort of drum fill. You know what I mean? Some sort of part that repeats,
Mm-hmm.
or a signal. If you will, like a this fill is the signal to the next part. So a lot of the themes drum wise for me stayed the same. Um, and a lot of the beats actually stayed the same as well. But there was definitely a bunch of revision after we did like a day of pre-production. We worked with Will Yip, producer, and he's a phenomenal musician, a phenomenal drummer, and a fantastic producer. So he had a lot of ideas of steering this, the songs different ways for vocals. You know what I mean? And he and Anthony got together and would do vocals. So a lot of the stuff that like, oh, I thought this was going to be the verse would become the chorus. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Which was
okay,
crazy. Cool. So things kind of got flipped on their ear a little bit, but mostly everything stayed remotely the same. But when we went into record with Will, I went in and did drums by myself. Frank came with me, but he had a broken arm at the time, so he couldn't really play. I just this band we really got rid of a lot of ego. You know what I mean? Like this, I was down to do whatever people told me to do. Whatever worked better for the song. Without sounding like a jerk, I already know that I can play. You know what I mean? I know that I'm confident in my playing. Do I think I'm the best drummer? No, absolutely not. I don't even think I'm a good drummer. But I know that I can get the job done. So when you strip that away, and say like, listen, whatever works for the song, I think it just helps the process go that much faster.
Mm-hmm. You think that's something that came with just age and experience, or more because you've been recording so much on your own and really refining what you do?
I don't know. A lot of people say it comes with age, and the whole you get to learn the less is more thing. And I get that. And I like that. But, I also like a little left of center, and I like fun things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I try to keep that less is more in the back of my mind. But I also want to write things that are challenging. I want to write things that are challenging to play live. I want to write fills that people air drum on the steering wheel of their car. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what it's all about. Like, I know all my favorite songs, man. You can't not air guitar or air drum or like sing in the shower, So that's kind of what I want. I want to give people the experience that I got from my favorite stuff.
Right on. Well, we got the 10-minute countdown here, so I'm going to shoot a word association at you if you're cool with it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, I'm just going to say a word. It might be a person, it might be a band, it might be whatever, a concept. And first thing comes to mind: Bonham.
Oh, orange.
Orange. Deftones.
Abe.
Quicksand.
Oh, Walter's the best. Alan Cage, Ripper. Slip, Manic Compression, two of the best records of all time. My favorite band in the world is Quicksand.
Grohl.
That's too many words. Grohl?
Grohl.
God. Idol.
Q drums.
Jeremy Berman, salt of the earth, one of the best human beings on the actual planet, and pushing for him to get better.
Drum samples.
I've done them.
Touring.
Tired.
It's probably a bad time to bring that one up.
Look at this room I'm in. This is it. This is it. This is me right now.
That's the life. Emo.
Ugh.
Just ugh.
Ugh.
Solos.
Hard.
All right. Instagram.
Addictive. And necessary. It sucks. Sucks. You got to do it, and I hate it. But you got to learn to love it. And whatever.
Thursday.
Legacy.
All right. This one might require more than a first one-word response. Your first snare drum.
The first one I willingly purchased was a DW Craviotto.
Nice. Good choice. You still have it?
Still have it. Still have it.
Does it still get use?
It's got a new head on it as we speak. I broke one of the lugs off, so I had to get a new gold lug to match the old gold lug, which is a pain in the ass to find.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really get used much, but a lot of the writing of Full Collapse was done on that snare drum. Not the recording, the writing.
Nice. Last word, Jersey.
I'm back.
Great. Awesome. Well, that's it, man. Thank you for coming on. Is there anywhere we should point people to follow what's going on? Any websites or in particular?
I mean, just Instagram. And if you can follow the Q Drums Instagram and help out Jeremy, that's our main focus right now.
Oh, thanks, Tucker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the time.
All right, now it's time for a lesson. We're going to talk about the drag paradiddle.
For our 10th and final lesson in this drum rudiment series, we are going to combine two rudiments, the drag paradiddle and the drag paradiddle number 2. The drag paradiddle number 1 is an accented note, so start with the right, accent right, and then drag, which is 2 low notes, and then a paradiddle. And then you do the opposite with the other hand, an accent with the left, drag with the right, and then a paradiddle. It's in 6/8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. That's how you count it. All right, so you can do it in different tempos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now, it's written with that accent on the first tap. You can also, I often accent the second note, which would be the first note of the paradiddle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So without that accent, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the accent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. All right, that's the drag paradiddle number 1. Drag paradiddle number 2 just adds an extra drag in between the accent and then the drag paradiddle. So you do an accent, a drag, and then the drag paradiddle. An accent with the opposite hand, a drag, and then a paradiddle. So it's a right, paradiddle, left, a left paradiddle. This one is in 2/4 or 4/4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And again, you can mess with the accents, and you can add an extra accent on that middle drag. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Or add an accent on the beginning of the paradiddle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Accent just the second and just the first and the third note. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Different variation. You can go crazy by messing with accenting all the stickings in the paradiddle, whatever you want to do. My point is, learn it as it's traditionally written by the PAS standards, which has the accent on the first note. Then just start experimenting, and then ultimately just improvising. And then do the same thing with the drag paradiddle number 1. Now here's an exercise to combine them all together. Again, I'm often trying to figure out how to make syncopated patterns out of these rudiments, and since the drag paradiddle number 1 is in 6/8, it's going to give you a 3/4 feel if you loop it in 4/4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. It takes all the way to beat 3 of the second bar before it lands back on the downbeat. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So you can very easily throw in the drag paradiddle number 2 there to cycle it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then it switches to the other hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Hopefully you're following. So it is a cycle of drag paradiddle number 1 until you get to beat 3 in the second bar, and then you play one of the drag paradiddle number 2. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then starts with the other end. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Try that a little quicker. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right. Now, if you keep that drag paradiddle number 1 going even further, you could do 3 whole bars of that. Just keep looping it for 3 measures, and then when you get to the 4th bar, play 2 of the drag paradiddle number 2. So you do 1 and 2 and 3, and the 4th bar will be 2 of those. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, when I count it, I got a little tongue-tied, but I'm trying to say the beginning of the measure. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 2, 3, 4. That way I can keep track of the phrase. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3. Repeat it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's try with the extra accents. So you do 1, 2. That'll be your drag paradiddle number 1, and then when you get to the 4th bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. That is it for the written out exercise. And then, as always, I urge you to improvise your own phrases using the drag paradiddle number 1, drag paradiddle number 2 with the different accent options. The most challenging part will be keeping track of where you are in a 4/4 time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, that's it for this series. Hope you enjoyed these lessons. I'm sure we'll come back and revisit some other rudiment ideas in the future. But for now, go back and work through all 10 of these lessons. We would love to see some of your ideas using some of these as a building block. Oh, by the way, if you need a cool practice pad, we still have a few of these left. These were some prototype pads we had made with this really soft side here with the maroon fabric on top, and then a traditional harder rubber on the back side. I use the red side often. Feels to me like a loose, like a medium low tune snare drum or a tom, so it gives you some rebound, but you kind of have to work a little bit more than if you're playing on the harder rubber side. Go to drumfactorydirect.com, pick one of these up before we run out of stock, and I believe we still have a deal where you get a pair of sticks free with the pad. That's it for now. Have a good one. Happy practicing. See you soon.
It's time to head over to Hawthorne Drum Shop. We are taking a look at a vintage Ludwig Mod Orange kit. Some things to look at if you're shopping for one of these and comparing it to the new version of that. So let's get over to Hawthorne.
Okay, what are we looking at? This is obviously a Ludwig kit. It is, I'm going to make a guess, mid-70s, early 70s? That's all I know. This is the 60s?
Yeah, I got the Keystone on there.
Oh, the Keystone is a telltale.
Mm-hmm.
When did that change? 68?
69, I think.
Okay.
There's some drums that came out that are like trans badge drums, not like the blue one, but they'll have like a blue olive and Keystone together.
Yeah, I had that on my 68 Black Diamond. Yeah. Anyway, so this is Mod Orange.
Mod Orange.
So we're all about Mod Orange today.
See, the giveaway on this, Mike, is that it's orange.
It's orange.
Yeah, this is a Mod Orange kit, 12, 22, 16. More than likely this was a Hollywood. So it's got the diamond plate, would have a tom tree and a 13 on there. But
What do you think happened to the 13?
Do you play 2-up?
Never.
That's what happens. Right.
Just someone sold it.
Yeah, I mean, they're old. These have probably been passed along. The guys, I got them from City's had them since the 90s. So I don't know. But I thought it'd be cool to feature these. I don't think we've done a sight kit. I don't think we've done a mod kit, but one of the more popular finishes now, rare. Mostly because they just didn't sell a lot of them when they were made.
It's pretty weird. The Psych Red sold more than this. It seems weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, and the ones that did survive, I think, were painted black.
All right, you're telling me
or
that.
were rewrapped, or...
So whenever you get a late 60s black kit, are you like, maybe there's orange under there?
Well, we both mutually know somebody who has a mod kit that was painted blue.
Blue?
Yeah. But you think about what happened in the 80s, like the big drums, the black drums, and then you got this like weirdo looking orange kit. What would people do? So I think that's kind of why they're hard to find now, is they didn't sell a lot of them, and then the ones that made it through were kind of destroyed. So now they did try to make different variations of these over the years. This is a kit we have on consignment. I think it's a 2006.
That was probably the first reissue of it, the recent reissues.
Maybe, I don't know, but like, it doesn't look a thing like it.
No, it's not orange at all. It looks more pink and purple.
And I know you can't see, but really, like, the difference between, and what I think makes the old Psych and mod finishes special is that they have, like, depth to their wrap. This is just like somebody, like, took a picture and printed it on the wrap. There's actually depth in these. To the point where, like, you probably can't see that, but a new Psych or a new mod kit would have been orange, some yellow maybe, and, like, dark purple. Kind of turns to lavender. So you can kind of see more on the back there. But the purple fades to a white.
So that's closer to original?
Yeah. And if you turn the drum, you can really kind of see how it fades like that.
I kind of like the white. It's almost like translucent in a way.
But if you look closely on that, you can kind of see checking. So once it really starts to degrade or wear, you can kind of get some splitting and some checking in the wrap, and which is another reason why stuff doesn't last. People have outside gigs. You can put a drum in the center, it's in a window. One side will fade out. It happens a lot with green. So
my drum set teacher in high school kept a Black Oyster kit in his car.
Oh, wonderful.
All the time, in a station
He
wagon.
just kept it in his car?
All the time, in his driveway. No cases.
Was he married?
Yeah, he was an old Navy,
For how long?
old Navy guy.
Oh, jeez.
He just didn't want to bother unloading his drums or putting them in cases or
It's probably brown.
And he's the same guy that had the brown Camco kit that I used to take lessons on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but yeah, I always, whenever I see a finish that's faded, I'm like, I remember that Black Oyster Pearl kit.
Yeah, I mean, fade's kind of common on like older drums. But it's really interesting to see the variations. This also has kind of an interesting, it's right, maybe not that interesting, but it was pretty common to have gull wing spurs. So the gull wings are the ones that fold out. These have club date style spurs. Telescopic.
Those are better, right? What do you like?
I like the gull wings.
Do you?
Yeah. But those are kind of like a special order. You could order them. I've seen them where you have one set of these, you have 2 sets of the Club Date style Spurs or the disappearing one. But look how clean the bottom of the bass drum is.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's the closest to the original.
Yeah.
So these drums were definitely not kept in cases.
No, I mean, the guy, I got these in the 90s, great shape. And they're not in bad shape, but like, you spin the drum around, you can definitely see, some of the fading on it. But I like Mod Orange. It's probably my favorite out of like Psych Red, Citrus Mod, and Mod Orange. I don't know, it's kind of...
Do you think that new one will look like this in 30 years?
I don't, because it's just like... I mean, this drum kit is, what's 2006? It's almost 20 years old now, and I just think that the way that they made these back in the day are different. And I think, I could be wrong, I think that they were getting wrapped from an Italian distributor before Delmar. And I think that they just, like this is more of a Jam and Sam style. Like if you order a wrap from Jam and Sam, it'll just be, they take a picture of it, high res, and they put it on a wrap. Like this was actually made.
Oh yeah, so that actually has different.
There's depth. I don't want to call it a pearl, but like if you look at a black oyster pearl or blue oyster pearl, like you can see the pearl in there.
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing. I've actually never really looked into how they made these. If I had to guess, they probably like put some dye or something in like some sort of tub or whatever, and then like I don't know.
Let us know how these are made. I'm sure someone knows. Yeah, cool. That's a nice kit, and it is for sale.
This one is for sale, yeah. And we might have a 22-13-16 that we'll be listing once this one is gone. So,
was this a double bass kit originally?
No. So the guy who bought this got them separately.
Okay.
Yeah. Different serials. Yeah, man, just like stuff goes missing.
Yeah.
But.
Very cool. Mod Orange. Dig it.
For this week's Warehouse Pick of the Week, I am going to highlight the snare drum that we just demoed in the snare depth comparison. This is the 5.5x14 Bucks County Prime Series Birch. We do have this for sale. You can see the inside here. It's a straight shell, 8-ply, no re-rings. Beautiful, beautiful drum. It has 8 single-point lugs, standard 2.3 triple flange hoops. This is one of our house brand, really nice throw-offs. So this is available, and it is $5.99. So you can buy that now with free shipping in the continental U.S. Go over to drumfactorydirect.com. Snag this before it's gone. We just have one of these, so if you liked what you heard, go buy it. And I'm going to drop in another demo. This was my favorite tuning from a few episodes ago, just to remind you how funky and cool this drum is. So go pick it up now, $5.99, drumfactorydirect.com. And that is it for this week's episode. Please head over to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you're getting this show. Drop us a 5-star rating. Put in some words into review. That does actually help this show pop up in more search feeds and suggested feeds. And if you're only listening to this in audio form, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel there. Hit the notifications button. We are posting every episode as well as each of the different segments and a bunch of other cool stuff over there. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next week.